Hi everyone. For the next two sessions, you're going to be learning about different types of landscapes. Your learning intention, which I'd like you to pause the video in a moment to write this down, is to identify different landscapes and describe examples from around the world. All right, you can pause the video and just make a note of the learning intention. So how will we know that we have been successful in addressing our learning intention? So you will first of all identify the names of different types of landscapes. Then you're going to investigate using Google Earth and completing a scavenger hunt activity, Australian and international examples of different types of landscapes. I should add to that we're also going to discuss the difference between landscapes, landforms, and landmarks, which I'll explain once we get to that part of the lesson. So, we're going to watch this video together. It only goes for about 2 minutes. And while you're watching, I want you to think about what types of landscapes you see in the video. You're going to spend a bit of time after that to write a list of all of the landscapes that you see in this video. So let's just watch this together. All right, so just spend a few minutes now writing a list of all of the landscapes that you think you saw in the video. Please pause this video now and take a moment to write down your list. Okay, now you may have identified a few things. You could have identified maybe rivers or mountains, cliffs, maybe waterfalls. Now these are examples of landforms, and we're going to identify and write down the 5 types of landscapes where you can find these landforms. So let's just have a look at that now. Now, you may have written down desert while you were watching that video. This is an example of our first type of landscape, an arid landscape. So I'd like you to just write down arid. And an arid landscape is land that does not have enough water to support the growth of plants. The second type of landscape is a coastal landscape. You may have written down ocean, beach, a cliff. for example. So these are examples of landforms that are found in a coastal landscape, the area where land meets the sea. You could have also written down rivers, waterfalls, perhaps estuaries. These are examples of landforms that are found in a riverine landscape, which is a landscape formed by the natural movement of a freshwater system such as a river. You may have written down mountains or hills. These are examples of landforms found in a mountainous landscape. So that is a landscape with many mountains. The last one that you may not have identified any landforms of it, unless you saw a cave, for instance, is a karst landscape. Now, this is one that you may not have heard of before. It is an area of land formed of rock, such as limestone, that is worn away by water to make caves and other formations. If you've ever been to the 12 Apostles, they're an example of a karst landscape. If you've ever been inside a cave, another example of a karst landscape. The Grand Canyon is a great example of a karst landscape. Okay, so make sure now, pause the video if you need, but make sure that you have written down the 5 types of landscapes in your books. All right, let's discuss the difference between landforms, landscapes, and also landmarks, because these are going to be needed for the next activity. So landforms are created and shaped by geographical forces of nature, such as tectonic plate movement and erosion. So you may remember from last term when we were learning about tectonic plates, when 2 continental plates move together, they are forced up, causing mountains to be created. So that's an example of a geographical force of nature creating and shaping mountains as a landform. Landscapes, on the other hand, are areas of land that are made up of a variety of landforms. So, for example, in a riverine landscape, you might find rivers, billabongs, estuaries, floodplains, waterfalls, meanders. There's all sorts of landforms that you may find in a riverine landscape. Landmarks are buildings or places that are easily recognized and can be used to judge where you are. If I'm driving through Richmond and I'm trying to tell someone where I am at any one moment, I could say, I'm just around the corner from Citizens Park. Citizens Park is the landmark that I am using to judge where I am. So that's an example of a landmark. All right, now for this next part of the double lesson, and this one will take us into our second session. You're going to be completing a Google Earth scavenger hunt. Now, we're going to do the first part of this together, but I will just explain for you the task itself. So using Google Chrome, and it has to be Google Chrome, it can't be Safari or Internet Explorer because they don't support Google Earth as well. So using Google Chrome, open Google Earth and use the scavenger hunt coordinates to visit each of the destinations around the world. The scavenger hunt coordinates can be found on your Google Classroom underneath the Google Earth scavenger hunt task, as well as the worksheet, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is what the coordinate sheet looks like, and it's got the instructions there, and here are all the coordinates. You can literally copy and paste these coordinates into Google Earth, and it will take you to that place. So that's what the coordinate sheet looks like. So for each separate set of coordinates, you must fill in the worksheet, which I'll show you in a second, with a screenshot of the landscape, the country the landscape is in, and the name of one landform or landmark that exists within the landscape, or in fact the name of the landscape itself. So let's do the first one together. So first of all, and make sure that you pause the video to do this, make sure that you've gone onto your Google Classroom and opened up your scavenger hunt worksheet. So this is what the worksheet looks like. So download that, make sure that you have that open as well as the coordinate sheet. Now for our first landscape, we're going to copy the coordinates, go into Google Earth, make sure you've got Google Earth open. I'm going to search and paste the coordinates in there. Click enter and it is now searching. Now you can see it's taking us to Richmond High School. So let's just take a screenshot of Richmond High School. So for a PC, we're going to click the Windows button and the print screen button, which is along the top should be next to F12, and it says PRT-SC. Going to do that. All right, so I've taken my screenshot. If you're using a Mac, it's slightly different. For a Mac, it is Shift, Control, and 3. So you hold Shift, Control, and the 3 button all at the same time, and that will take a screenshot. Now, I've already taken my screenshot, so I'm going to go into the Scavenger Hunt Online worksheet, where it says Scavenger Hunt task number 1. Under screenshot, I am going to paste. There we are, so it's taken a screenshot of the landscape. Now we know that these coordinates are in Australia, so we can type in Australia. Now landform, landmark, or landscape. Now that's a landmark, and it is showing us Richmond High School, it's showing us the Richmond Recreation Centre, it's showing us Citizens Park as well. So you can write any of those in. I'm going to write down Richmond High School. Now it's definitely not a landform, and it's not a landscape, it is a landmark. But it's up to you with the rest of the scavenger hunt coordinates to decide whether it's a landform, landmark, or landscape that you can see in the on Google Earth. So please pause the video now. Work your way through the coordinates and filling out your scavenger hunt online worksheet. Once you have completed the worksheet, and again, this may take you a whole session. Once you have completed the worksheet, come back to this video and we will complete our learning reflection. All right, you should have completed your scavenger hunt online worksheet and identified some landforms and landscapes from around the world. If we just go back to our success criteria, we have identified the names of different types of landscapes with things like arid, mountainous, riverine. And you have now been investigating Australian and international examples of different types of landscapes, as well as landforms and landmarks. So we have identified all of our success criteria. What I'd like you to do at the bottom of your scavenger hunt online worksheet, just in this space at the bottom, I would like you to answer these two questions. Which type of landscape do you think is the most habitable or the best for living for humans and animals? And secondly, why do you think so? Explain your reasoning. All right, guys, so that is the end of this double lesson learning sequence. If you have any questions during your humanities class, please don't hesitate to contact your teacher. And in our next few sessions, we're going to be learning about a particular type of map that is really great for identifying different landforms and landscapes. It's called a topographic map. So that's what we've got coming up. Thanks for watching and see you next time.